Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I guess I should start out by saying ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I keep seeing all these ugly sweaters for your police officer segments and figured I'd get in the spirit. So,
I have to
is it
tell
too
you.
late for the voting?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to get permission from the police, and you know how they are.
Yeah, no, I'm good then. I'll let them have their
Okay.
their voting contest. I'll just do mine off to the side. So,
Well, the koala bear is a very nice touch, so thank you very much. And, I just chose to go with the Be Nice to Me, I Know Santa t-shirt, but I think that's okay.
it works. We're
All right.
both very festive today.
We are. And speaking of festive, I wanted to mention that our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, is doing an Operation Santa event at the restaurant, partnership with Snohomish County Fire, South Snohomish County Fire, and they are collecting a variety of things for children in need. And you can drop those off at Red Onion Burgers, which is 21005, I have to get this right, 44th Avenue West in Mountlake Terrace. And if you want a list of what they're collecting, because there's a variety of things they're asking for, you can go to any one of the websites, MLT News, My Edmonds News, LynnwoodToday.com, and we have a list there for you to look at. So thanks to Sean and Lorraine Richards for doing this event and for sponsoring our show, and let's talk wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah, we're in the middle of wrestling season. We're going to talk Mountlake Terrace High School wrestling, one of their better seasons that they've ever had. I was going to say in the last couple decades, which it was, but one of their best seasons ever last year. And we brought the coach in today, Grant Thompson, as well as Reyne Mack, who finished fourth at state last year. He's looking to improve upon that this season, maybe perhaps a state championship in his future. We'll see. But until then, we had a conversation with them about their season. Here's Grant and Reyne. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks wrestling program coming off one of their best seasons in decades last year, and now they're going to try to duplicate some of that success this season. And with us right now, the head coach, Grant Thompson, as well as star wrestler Reyne Mack. And I can say that because Reyne finished fourth in state last year. And before we start talking about what Rene's expectations are and his goals, we need to talk about Thursday night a little bit, guys. Sure. Granite Falls coached the final score 37-37. I think the number of matches won for each team was tied. You guys had to go to like a seventh tiebreaker to determine that you guys were the victors. How did that work?
Yeah, well, it goes without saying there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement to see what would happen. First, I just want to say thanks to the Granite Falls coach. He's a great guy, and their team, they wrestled tough. So getting into the tiebreaker situation though. After you get past a certain criteria, you kind of have no idea where you're going with it. So, I just feel humbled and happy that we came out on top. But honestly, it could have went either way, by a point or two. But it came down to our last match, who I think our last match. Yeah, it came down to a major decision match, and it was Alex Williams. And he's spent a little bit of time on varsity this year, but not as much exposure to varsity as we'd probably like him to have. And so he got out there and he really proved himself to the team. And we ended up winning the criteria because he had a bigger majority decision. So that was like the seventh tiebreaker.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And Reyne, for you guys, how important are team victories? I mean, we always think of wrestling as being an individual sport, but really it is a team effort, right? So were you guys off to the side kind of just anticipating, or did we win, did we lose? How important was it for you guys to win that match?
Yeah, well, it's the dual meets, it's like we're all there for each other and we always cheer each other on and everything. And during the season, it's all about the team. It's all about making each other better and cheering each other on as we go. But then once we get into postseason, that's when it really turns into individual season.
And we should point out, too, in that particular match, you kind of took one for the team. You wrestled up a weight class. I know you've wrestled at 182 a lot. You were going to wrestle at 195, but they needed a 220 wrestler. So you wrestled up there. What is it like for you when you have to go against somebody that weighs that much more than you?
It's tough. It's like your body's not really it's not prepared for that because it's like they're so much heavier than you're used to, but just doing what you can, and it's fun.
It works.
It works out.
So, Coach, for you, any reservations about putting a guy like Reyne up a weight class? I mean, what is that like when you have to kind of start strategically looking at where your matchups are and whether or not you have enough wrestlers at a weight?
Yeah, first and foremost, we got to make sure that they're staying within their descent plan weights. So there's certain things you have to adhere to in terms of the weigh-ins. They can't weigh over a certain weight or under a certain weight. But beyond that, you also do look at acumen and experience. And I don't want to inflate your ego, Renee, but he did place 4th at state last year. So I have less hesitation when I know that the skill set and the strength and the speed and just kind of the mental toughness when all that kind of stuff's intact. So I do make those calculations, and I wouldn't send someone who has a lack of experience, out there in that situation.
And we should point out too, Reyne did win his match that night, so it wasn't as though he went up against a bigger guy and was defeated. He got the victory. Not the only time you wrestled this week, though. Saturday, the Lynnwood Winter Classic, and Coach, maybe all of you kind of explain what this is first before I ask Reyne about his victory. But how many schools, approximately how many wrestlers, and how big of an event was this?
Yeah, the Lynnwood Classic, I think it's been going on for a few decades, 25 years or something like that. They ran an 8-man bracket. They had 10 teams, mostly local schools, Cascade, Mariner, Kamiak. There's some bigger schools. South Whitby was there, and then just some of the local ones. We sent just about a full roster, minus 1 or 2 guys. And we got a few guys into 3rd and 4th in Constellation Championships. Pedro Hernandez was one. Alex Williams, just talked about him at that duel, that important major decision. He actually made it into the finals. This guy right here made it into the finals, won his match. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I think overall we around 5th out of 10 teams.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, he won more than just his match, right?
Yeah, he wrestled really well. Very impressive. He won the tournament wrestler award. So,
which is essentially an MVP of the tournament, if you will, right?
Right.
And we should point out for that, and for winning the tournament of the wrestler of the tournament, we're going to give Reyne the Player of the Week award, courtesy of Action Jackson Plumbing. So Reyne, you can wear that shirt proudly later on there.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
We like to thank our folks over at Action Jackson for that honor. And Reyne, what does it mean for you to get an award like that when you know that you're at a tournament and it's not just your weight class but all the other weight classes, and they determine that you were the premier wrestler of the entire weekend, I should say.
It feels nice. It feels nice to be recognized, and it's kind of like just really putting the hard work that I put in. I don't know. It's
Get to enjoy that a little bit.
enjoy it, yeah.
Speaking of enjoying, what was last season like for you? We talked about it real briefly at the very intro here. One of the better seasons that Mountlake Terrace has had in a very long time, and you certainly were one of the guys that played a vital role in that. How much fun did you and your teammates have last year, knowing that so many different guys got to go to state and to achieve a lot of their goals as well?
Yeah, it was fun because we're all pretty much, by that time we're all pretty much like a family. We're all there together. We're all cheering each other on and stuff. And by the end of the season, we all gone through the sweat and pain together. So it's like we all just, I don't know, it's just great.
And Grant, for you, how long have you been the coach at Mountlake Terrace now?
Yeah, so going on my 5th year. And I like what he said, sweat and pain. I mean, wrestling is a hard sport. And just to say that we were 8-4 last year, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface, because it's the hours and the effort. And so it was an amazing feat last year. And the year before that, we were 7-5. So, it feels good to have that kind of momentum.
Did you see it coming? Did you kind of, maybe 2 or 3 years out, did you see some of the guys that were kind of up-and-comers and younger, and knowing that maybe, hey, at this point in their careers, that this could really be something special?
It's been an interesting transition. Honestly, no, I didn't. Because the first year, we had a lot of older guys, and so they all dropped off. So around my 2nd or 3rd year, it was tough, and that's kind of when I started seeing, the term rebuilding years. You have those rebuilding years, and it was probably not until my 2nd or 3rd season that I was like, okay, a couple years out from now, this team's going to be pretty tough. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, we were pretty tough, and we got lucky too. We had a couple kids that moved in the year prior, so that helped the lineup. But.
And now the lineup is significantly younger. Reyne, the only senior on the squad this year. Tell me about this young man a little bit. What is it like to coach him? What is it like to see him out on the mat? And what's it been like in general?
Reyne, he's tough, very tough. It's one of the first words I think of. Just like his older brother, he doesn't rattle easily. I wouldn't say that he doesn't really get scared of his opponent. I would never expect Reyne to come up to me and be like, Coach, he's a big guy. I don't know if I can do this. That's not in his equation. He enjoys competition. Hard worker. And I got really high hopes and expectations for Reyne. I think he can. If he puts his mind to it and works hard, I think he can achieve some great things this season.
Some nice words from Coach. Now, tell me a little bit about him. What's it like to wrestle under Grant Thompson?
Well, it's great. It's like he's always like he always pushes me during practices, and he's always there. I feel like he's really passionate about the sport and about the team, and I honestly I don't think I would have probably gotten where I have today without him. It's like.
It's been huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need good
Thanks.
coaching like that. And it's not just you, right, Grant? You've got other assistant coaches who are helping out along the way. Who are some of those guys?
Well, and that's the other thing I look at with the program. It's exciting. So it's not just always about the lineup. It's also the coaching staff. So this year we have an alumni who's helping out, Brett Potter. Mm-hmm. He was a state participant my first year coaching. We have a teacher, which plays a vital role because then they can recruit within the building internally because I work out of the building. So David Asink has done a good job helping get the numbers up. Larry Springberg, his kid wrestled my first year, Sid Springberg.
And a pretty darn good one at that.
Pretty darn good wrestler. Yeah, he got on the podium at state my first year coaching. So he's a great kid. And Larry's been in the sport for quite a long time, and he's been pretty vital. So it's been nice.
And Reyne, when I think back to my days at Mountlake Terrace High School, I didn't wrestle, but whenever I'd walk by the wrestling gym, could always hear a lot of yelling and screaming from the coaches. Are these guys pretty vocal? What kind of coaches are we looking at here with not only Coach Thompson but the rest of the coaching staff?
Well, I think it's part of it. It's at the beginning of practice. It's kind of team led. It's like we do our drill matches at the beginning. And stretches and stuff, we lead them. And then when the coaches come in, we making sure we stay on task and teaching us the technique and stuff. And then at the end, it's conditioning, and that's really when the coaches are like
drill sergeant mode comes in.
Drill sergeant mode.
I don't scream, do I? Do I ever scream? That's crazy.
Wrestling coaches never do that.
That never happens.
Hey, tell me about some of the other guys on the team too. I know you mentioned Alex Williams a couple times already. Who are some of the other wrestlers that we're watching for if we go to a Hawks match this year?
So like kind of as we previously said, I think Renee's the only senior. Mm-hmm. So a lot of youth on the team. Honestly, I think half the lineup just started wrestling this year. Which is exciting in a lot of ways. As you talk about the rebuilding and looking into the future, it's going to be a tough team. But Connor Lefsky, he's been with, I think this is his third year as a Hawk. He's a junior. He's done some work in the off season, gone to some camps and trying to work on getting his skill set up there. But he's a tough kid. We have a kid named Patrick Melam who's really tough. We just, and a lot of the new guys, one thing I can say about this team, more than a lot of teams in the past is just their attitude is so great, and they want to work hard, they enjoy it, which is really nice. And I don't have issues with attendance, kids just show up to practice. They're pretty hungry. Like, I had a freshman the other day who was just like, "Hey, coach, I bought this book." And he pulls out this book, and it's like 100 Best Wrestling Moves by Dan Gable. And I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, good for you, man. That's fantastic. So they're all really hungry for knowledge and just to get in shape and learn more about the sport.
Very nice. I'm going to ask you another question here so I can kind of segue it into a question for Reyne. But
Sure.
What is your background in terms of, I know you wrestled in high school and in college, correct?
Yeah. So I actually wrestled in Oregon. My freshman, sophomore year, as a learning experience, and I try to use that as a metaphor, as like trust the process for the teammates. Because then my junior year, I won a state championship. Weights were different back then, so it was like 171 pounds. Senior year, lost in overtime in the state finals. And that was rough. So that was 189 pounds. I got a scholarship, Southern Oregon University. And again, it's like starting over again. You're bottom of the totem pole. So I got beat up a little bit first year in college. But I went on to qualify for the national tournament a few times. Could never quite seal the deal at nationals. Would have been nice. But yeah, it was a really great experience. And then I've probably learned just as much from coaching. You know, I've been coaching, I think I'm entering my 9th year, 5th year at Terrace, and then prior to that, 2 years at Juanita High School, and then prior to that, 2 years at a small school in Oregon.
Very good. Now, for Reyne, for you, with Coach having all that experience, I've got to think that college might be an option for you. I know you'd like to wrestle in college. We've talked about it before off the air here. Have you been able to talk to Coach a little bit about that too? And how does that maybe help to prepare you for your next step?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to make this season the probably most memorable season and like do the best I can so I can get colleges to look at me
And Coach, for you, from your own standpoint and your own experiences, have you been able to help Reyne along the line in terms of that, or
Getting him into that
yeah,
next
or just
level.
getting him to that next level, or maybe helping him to prepare to reach out? Because I know obviously around here in Washington State, we don't really have wrestling opportunities, right, in college. So
Right. Yeah.
how have you been able to maybe help him, or how might you be able to help him
Yeah.
going forward?
Well, fortunately, Washington programs are depleted. I think there's only Highline and maybe one other one. But in terms of like Oregon, you know, I do intend on reaching out to my alma mater, you know, my old coach. But that being said, there's still, you know, certain, you know, performance standards that have to be met in order to get scholarships to that next level. So, you know, no pressure, Reyne. But, you know, he's got to do well at state this year, and he's got to have a really good season. And even more importantly, and college coaches look at this, grades. You know, grades have to be up. That academic performance is the most important thing. But, yeah. So I do intend on trying to help out.
And Reyne, for you, how much does that mean to you in terms of how badly do you want to go on to wrestle at college? I mean, I know, again, not as many opportunities as, say, basketball or baseball, but is that something you truly do aspire to
yeah,
want to
I
get
do.
to?
It's a passion of mine, wrestling. So I want to continue that through my life, and I don't want to just have high school be the last thing I do. So I want to continue.
Very nice. And looking forward here, guys, you're going to put some mileage on the buses here coming up. I'm noticing you've got a nice home. I shouldn't say nice, but you've got a home match against Stanwood on January 2nd, and Mason Phillips, national champion, I think, on some level last year for Stanwood, is on that team. So we might see Mason wrestling there at the Terrace CM on January 2nd. You go to Edmonds Woodway January 4th, which is always tough.
Sure.
And then I know on the weekend of January 5th, 6th, the team is going to Hoquiam, but Reyne, you're going to Gut Chuck. Coach, what exactly is Gut Chuck, and how important is that tournament for Reyne?
I think the name's kind of fitting. You know, it's an intense tournament. We haven't been there. Probably the biggest tournament we've been to since I've been coaching was Hammerhead a few years ago. But I think Gut Check is much bigger and much more formidable. It's a 64-man bracket. I think it's in Bremerton. 64-man bracket. The Canadian national team's going to be there. There's some pretty tough competition coming up from California. I think Clovis might be one of the teams. I think they're a nationally ranked team. Long story short, I mean, if you place a gut check, you're going to do well at state. If you win gut check, you know, there's some connotations with that. Like you could be the top of the crop at state. So it's a big tournament, and it really tests a wrestler's mettle. You know?
And to put it into perspective, I mean, there's a reason why you only take somebody like Reyne there and you don't take the entire team. This is kind of a select, prestigious honor, right? I mean, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal, and the competition is pretty fierce. So, I mean, you have to be ready to show up. And you know, oftentimes with just high school wrestling, just your average high school wrestling tournament, the margins for error, you know, you get a little more wiggle room, a little more elbow room. A tournament like Gut Check, you know, your technique needs to be tightened up. You know, you got to have good stance, good shot. There's smaller margin for error, and if you do make those errors, you know, there's a greater chance that you're going to get beat. So you got to be ready.
Very nice. Are you excited for Gut Check? Is it something? Do you get nervous for big tournaments like that?
I try not to get nervous. I try to think of them just another match, another tournament. So
it's a good perspective to have.
Yeah.
And then looking ahead, you've got another home match against Shorewood on January 11th. You then go to Bainbridge, and you go to Linden, and then ultimately we're hoping you get to Tacoma. How much fun is it to wrestle at the Mack Classic in the Tacoma Dome, the big state tournament?
yeah, it's pretty fun. Even though there's probably 20 mats, it feels like the spotlight's just on you there, It's like just the whole crowd and everything. It's all just a whole different feel.
When you've got 20-something mats laid out all on one big flat surface and you've got the PA system over the entire dome, is it overwhelming sometimes? I mean, do you kind of let yourself stop for a moment and go, wow, this is the Tacoma Dome? I mean, or do you kind of block all that out and just go wrestle?
Yeah, it's kind of like at the very beginning when we get there, I kind of give myself a moment to look around and everything. But then when my match comes down, it kind of just, your vision narrows, and that's all. The only thing there is you on the mat and the other wrestler.
Very nice. And goals for the season? Do we are we thinking that we can get to that top spot on the podium?
Yeah, that's the goal. Did just 3 spots better than last year, so.
Just 3 spots, but those are three big spots, right, Grant? How realistic is his chance this year? How are you feeling about the way things are going?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can definitely do it, but obviously it's not going to be handed to him. There is you say just those 3 spots, but those 3 spots, the caliber of wrestling between the 4th to the 1st, that jump, it's going to be a battle, and I think a lot of it is going to come down to. I always kind of talk about like 4 legs of the table, but speed, strength, technique, and just kind of that toughness / heart, that ability to overcome adversity. I think up until state, we need to do a lot of work on the speed and strength component. Renee's technique's pretty good, but we gotta kind of get into Rocky mode. We got to really train him up, so we don't leave anything to question.
So we will see an interesting couple months coming up, a big couple months at that. So Grant, Reyne, thank you both very much for coming in, and best of luck to you not only throughout the rest of the regular season, but hopefully all the way into to Mack Classic.
I noticed you didn't ask the wrestler about how much he's going to eat over the holidays. That usually seems to be a source of conversation when we talk to the wrestlers.
Good point. It's funny too because he's starting to wrestle more at 195, so he's just a little bit above 182 right now. So he does have some room to spare there if he wanted to eat, since he's wrestling 13 pounds above where he's at anyway. So certainly, Reyne, if you wanted to enjoy a few meals, he could do that.
And that would explain why he did grab a bagel on his way out.
Yeah, he wasn't going to mess around with that. So but no, always a good question with the wrestlers. They are trying to monitor how much they intake in terms of food these days, and we were even talking to Coach Thompson about that in terms of guys trying to drop down pounds to get down to lower classes, which I used to see a lot when I was in high school, and they're not allowing them to do that as much these days. So eating, yes, good. Trying to lose weight through other ways, other methods, not so good.
Okay. All right. Well, we have basketball to talk about now.
We do. Another team that is exceeding expectations so far, the Lynnwood Royals. The boys team, they only won 6 games last season, 6 wins, 15 losses. This year so far, 4 wins and 2 losses. Thought it would be a great time to talk to a couple of the Royals about their season. Here's Jerry and Alex to talk Royals basketball. Last year, it took the Lynnwood Royals 12 games to pick up their 4th win of the season. This year, only 6 games. They're off to a 4-2 start. And with us right now, 2 of the starters on that team, 2 of the stars, I should say. Let's throw it out there, right? Call it what it is. Alex Macias, he is a senior and he's a guard. Jerry Boston is a junior, plays forward. Guys, congratulations on the hot start to your season. Alex, obvious question, what's been the biggest difference so far this year?
I feel like the biggest difference is just like the fire that comes off the bench and the fire at practice, and how it's just like a brotherhood. Like last year we did have that friendship, but this year these guys have been growing up. I feel like since they were like in middle school, I haven't seen it, but like I can tell and I hear from stories from them how they've just like, oh, remember like last year, like 3 years ago. So I feel like their like chemistry is just like a brotherhood, like on and off the court, like everybody's a best friend. Like at school you always see them together, so I feel like bringing that on the court is just like a good thing.
When a team doesn't have chemistry, does it carry over to the court? I mean, is it that much of a difference when you're actually playing with guys that you get along with and you genuinely like?
I feel like we do have some players that haven't been in like around us like at school just because of running start and stuff, but we've known them for a while and we've just heard the name. But even though we don't hang out with them when we're on the court, I feel like we just create that brotherhood and like everybody mixes together, even if they weren't around.
So attitude has a lot to do with it. I've got to think confidence goes a long way too, Jerry. Are you starting to notice this team just feels more confident when they go into games, that they got a better chance this year than maybe they did, say, last season?
Yeah, because I think we believe it. I think the dream this year is becoming a reality, just because last year I think the bar was set kind of low But this year, I think since we're close and the coaches really push us to do better, I think the confidence is really high.
You guys have had some huge games this year so far. I know, Jerry, and we're going to get to that in a little bit here in the show. We owe you a shirt from last week. You were our player of the week. You had 2 double-doubles consecutively. I know you had a 21-point, 11-rebound game against Interlake. Alex, you had a 25-point game against Cedar Crest, and I think you also had 5 steals in that game. Yeah. So both of you doing your part. Let me have you each talk about each other for a moment here. Tell me what each one brings to the team. Alex, I'm going to start with you. Tell me what it's like to play with Jerry Boston and what makes him a good teammate.
Playing with Jerry, it was kind of a different like environment between me and him because I'm used to playing with players that are really serious and like locked in the game. But when you see Jerry and he's about to take a 3-pointer, he's like smiling and he like never takes anything negative. Like he's able to be like, all right, like that happened, that mistake happened, it's all right. Like let me just move on, and he's just smiling. That positivity is contagious, and I feel like that helps me because I do take basketball serious and I do get serious sometimes. But just like when I look at Jerry and I just see him smiling, it's like, bro, like let me be that like happy like that. So it kind of just helps.
And what about his game? Tell me something he does on the court in terms of basketball skills wise that he helps you and your teammates out.
Yeah, on the court, he's always like at the top of the key and he's ready to like get the ball, turn and face, and if not, like he's smart to either just like kick it back out and like he'll look for the open person and that person will like have the right shot. And we have a lot of shooters on the team, so Jerry's able to find them. And if not, Jerry will come and set screens, and it'll be like a pick and roll, and I can just dish it off to him, and he's able to finish. That's a good thing.
Very nice. And Jerry, tell me a little bit about Alex. What's he do to contribute to this team?
I think Alex does a lot. Like even off the court, he's always pushing us to get to class, even though we're walking in the hallway, or even at practice, he pushes us to be the best we can because he knows last year was they had bumps in the road, but this year he sees us going far, so he pushes us. Even on the court, it could be during halftime, it could be during a timeout, and he's telling us, to keep going, keep your heads up. And I think when he plays, he knows his basketball IQ is very high. So, he sets us up, he tells us what to do, kind of just pushes us in the right direction. And I think that's what people like about Alex, is because he always pushes us to do better.
Tell me something about his skill set on the court that he brings to you guys.
I think getting to the basket, because we have a lot of shooters, so sometimes we settle on threes or we settle on jump shots, and Alex is able to get to the rim and finish, even get to the foul line, kind of put the team in foul trouble.
Very nice. Now let's talk about your teammates a little bit. Alex, I'll start with you since you are a guard. Tell me a little bit about the guard play on this team and who else is helping you in the backcourt.
Everybody's just there, like they're all like on my pace. Like last year, there was a couple of players, like the majority of the players, they were like fast paced. And it was, like, easy. Or, like, sometimes it was kind of tough to play against other fast-paced teams. But this year, like, everybody's fast-paced. We're all guards, and we're all, like, with that mentality, like, on a fast break, we got to either sprint up or pass it up, and if we don't have it, pull it back. But the main objective is to, like, go to score to the basket. And we have a lot of shooters and a lot of confident young players. And a lot of the players are sophomores. So I think Jerry and, like, one other person are just juniors. And, like, when we were playing with the team, like I can drive and I can just easily kick out, and I know we got a lot of shooters, like everybody on the team, like Timmy, Edgar, Gabe, Jerry, and just like a lot of players on the team. You can just kick it out really confidently and know that the shot is about to go in. And we had our bigs like Carson and Benyam and like Jerry including there, like they're there to bang. Like they may seem smaller, like a young team, but like if the ball's going up, like they're gonna hit you for the rebound. Like they're hungry. We're all hungry players, and yeah.
Jerry, go ahead. I was gonna say, Jerry, tell me about some of those big guys down there because you are a forward. So, who are some of those other guys? I know Alex mentioned a few of them, but just tell me about their games a little bit.
I think we all gel together perfectly, especially me, Josh, and Carson. It's because when we get down there and there's a dude that looking like he's 40 years old, he got some giant muscles. We like to bang with him. We like to get down there and play because Carson, he likes to guard the biggest dude. And I think that helps us a lot because not a lot of people want to take on the biggest dude, most physical. And Josh, he just loves scoring and getting rebounds. And I think that's what helps us win games because when we all gel together and we do our role, like I don't even think scoring is like our first option. I think it's like rebounding, taking out the biggest dude. I think that's what. And especially Benyam. Benyam, he doesn't like play a lot, but when he does come in the games, he makes a big difference. Because he wants to win, and I know he wants to play. So I just think that's what helps our team, and I like our front court.
Sounds like a well-rounded team, and everybody has their role to play, which is goes a long way to having success. Then.
Yeah.
We had Bobby Hinnenkamp in here a couple weeks ago to talk about the team in general, and he talked about you guys and the coaching staff. Let's talk about him for a minute. Tell me about Coach Hinnenkamp and what it's like to play for him, and what that experience has been like. An alum, I should mention, of Lynnwood, so he's been in your shoes before. Alex, tell me one or two things about Coach Hinnenkamp that you enjoy.
He's a great coach. Like, along with him and just the coaching staff, but Bobby, like, he's dedicated to this program. Like, he's been building up a lot of, like, trying to, like, fundraisers and everything just for the team and our trips and everything. Like, that's a great coach. But, like, on the court, he's a great coach. He's always pushing us, and he always listens to every player. And we'll have team meetings when he feels like things aren't just going well, like we're having a bump in the road. Like, he'll tell us at practice, like, you guys, like, we'll have a team meeting, and we won't even know the team meeting's coming. And, like, I feel like that's good how it's unexpected, because then we just let things out without thinking about it, like, the day before. We just have it. And then along with, like, the rest of the coaching staff, like, they're really good. Like, we got Coach Lee as our assistant coach. That's a great coach, too. Like, he's always pushing us, and, like, if Bobby doesn't say something, then, like, Coach Lee will have it from his point of view, and he'll fill it in. And then we got the JV and C team coaches, like Keontae Bankhead. He's a big football coach, along with Coach T. Like, both of them just bringing, like, their football IQ to the basketball. Like, in some way it does help. And then they're always just cheering us on, too, on our Wednesday games or our Friday night games. Like, they're always there supporting, and they always say the right things to, like, get us in the game mode. So I feel like the whole coaching staff is just always there for the players. Like, that's what they're there for, just to make us a better team and for the players.
Very nice. Jerry, anything we need to add as far as Coach Hinnenkamp there? Did we cover it there with Alex? Or?
Yeah, I just think, if anything, I think he says it's a bigger picture. You know, yeah, we're basketball players, but he's really teaching us a life lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, even off the court, he's telling us, you know, pulling us to his office, just seeing how school's going, how everything's going. And he's checking up on us because he knows that at the end of the day, basketball is just a game and going to take you so far. And that's what I like about him, is because he teaches us how to be a student and a human being at the same time.
Very
And
nice.
The funny thing about Coach Hinnenkamp is, if you just pop into his office, his counseling office, to see if, like, what time is practice at or something, or, like, just to clarify on schedules, you always see him click out of the film real fast and then just go to his school stuff like Skyward. That's a funny thing.
We won't tell the principal Piper or anything like that. We'll let him think that he's working all the time. But no, Coach obviously working hard, whether it's as a counselor or as a basketball coach, right? Hey, both of you have different backgrounds in basketball, and I'll start with you, Jerry. The Boston name, fairly well known at Lynnwood, obviously, with your sister Caprice.
Yeah.
State championship, so she's already got her title. Nakia, your younger sister, having a great year as a sophomore basketball player, and I know there's been other Bostons along the way. Your dad, Gerald, was a great basketball player, I think, at Garfield, and went and played college ball, and I know got uncles, Jason Hamilton, that played at UW. What's it like being in a basketball family? A lot of pressure on you to do well and succeed, or what?
Yeah, coming from, like, the boy side of the family, all my uncles, they were excelled in basketball. And so, like, ever since I was little, I wanted to be just like them. And, like, even now, like, you think that they would be stiff and old, but they're out there still dunking. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And, like, when I see my sister playing college, I just want to be like her. And my little sister, you know, when Caprice left, that's all we wanted to do. We wanted to be just like Caprice, because, like, it could be snowing outside. There could be a hurricane outside. Caprice will still be outside dribbling a basketball. And it just inspired me to be better. And, like, whenever my dad in Seattle, he knows everybody, all the coaches, all the players. I'm like, I want to be known like that. Like, at Lynnwood, I come back and everybody knows me. So it's just very inspiring to see my family do great things.
No, definitely. I should mention, too, I forgot. I didn't mean to leave out Uncle Bryant, either, who played at the University of Washington. Yeah. So a great career there as well. And your sister, you Caprice, Nakia, game of horse breaks out. Who wins?
Oh, that's tough. 'Cause I would say me, but, you know, Nakia is very competitive and she can shoot a little bit. So, you know, I think Nakia would win.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting to note. And what if we throw dads and the uncles in the equation? Who?
Oh, God, my dad.
Dad beats you in horse?
Yeah, he'd be shooting free throws from half court.
Okay. That'll do it. Hey, and as far as you, Alex, different road. You didn't even start playing basketball till you were, like, in the 8th grade, right?
Yeah, 8th grade, I really started playing AAU, and, like, I was on my first team, which was the Lynnwood Royals feeder team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it started off with, it was like 6th grade, because in 4th grade, I like to shout out Allnos because he actually put a basketball in my hands in 4th grade. And in 6th grade, I really was like, all right, like this is actually fun. So I'd always played in recess and like all through middle school. And then I had a coach. His name was Zoe. He was he is a trainer, but he was a coach for NEYB. And he used to work at our school, and I played for him for like 2 years. Like, man, like come on my NEYB team, like we'll get you right. Like, all right. So 8th grade, I really like started playing AAU. Like I went out and like the tournaments were hard and everything, but after that, I just started building off of that. And I wasn't really raised around a basketball family because like my dad, he played soccer, and my mom, she was in track. She would do the discus. So like they didn't really like I didn't really have like a lot of, I did have support, but I didn't have a lot of people that would tell me like any basketball things. So it was basically all just on my own, and like Zoe and just my other coach, Jordan Daniels. He's also an alum at Lynnwood.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that like put me on his team and let me play too. But Zoe was a big impact too. Zoe and Anna, like both of them, they really put me on to basketball.
Very nice. You made up for lost time well. You've done your okay for yourself since then. Hey, you guys have a big trip coming up this week. You're playing a holiday. We call it a tournament, but really it's more of an invitational. You don't play in a bracket per se, but you guys have 2 games coming up at Wenatchee. We should point out on Thursday and Friday, December 21st and 22nd, you play 1 p.m. both days against Moses Lake and Eisenhower. More so than the game, though, this is really a team bonding experience, and it's one that you guys went through last year, too. You made the same trip. Alex, for you, what's it like going to Wenatchee? Do you enjoy this trip? Is it more of a pain in the neck at this point of the year, or what?
No, I feel like it's a pain to people that have plans or like want to go out of town to go visit like family, or like just go like just travel and like just be with their whole family. So this trip does like kind of make a lot of like bad decisions, kind of like people have to cancel back on their plans and their drives or flights or whatever. But for me, like I don't really like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stay with my family, and we're all just gonna meet up at our house and just have a big like family dinner and just open presents at 12. But the trip is really fun. Like last year we went with the senior team, and the whole car ride, like half the car ride we slept, and the other half we were just telling stories and just having fun. And when we get there, it's like a real team bonding thing. Like we're at a home, it's just you and your team, and you're in a hotel, and we all like sometimes just go to sleep in one whole room. Like when we went to Gonzaga for a team camp, we were telling like stories and all that, and like we ended up all just sleeping in the same like little dorm room, like 12 guys just sleeping in the same room. So it's like I'm excited for this year because everybody's more connected and like more like friendships. So I'm excited to see how it's gonna go with like our team dinners and just bowling. Like Bobby's always talking about how he's gonna beat us in bowling. Last year he did, but he barely beat us. So we'll see how it is this year.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. We talked to the players last year, and Bobby quite the bowler, apparently, the coach, right? Is Jerry? Is anybody able to give Coach Camp a run at bowling this year, or what do we think?
Well, I don't know. Bobby has so many special skills. Like he says he's good at bowling, and now he's good at ping pong. I don't know what to expect. So.
And we should mention that too. Ping pong is another sport that he brought to the equation for you guys. Is that, I mean, when a coach does something like that, brings in a ping pong table, and you guys are able to kind of interact with him, does that kind of help in that relationship as well? I mean,
Yeah,
even though he's beating you in the sport, Alex, are you guys still?
It just goes to show how like it's not always about basketball. Like he wants to be like our friend and a coach and a counselor as well. So he's like wanting to be connected with us in like as many ways. And last year we had an alumni game after our black and white game. And an alumni, he donated the ping pong table, and we brought it out like probably like 4 days ago on a Friday practice after our win, and we were just playing ping pong, and just Coach Bobby, like every serve or like every hit, he was just smacking us, and he's actually really good at that.
So the numerous skills of Bobby Camp, we're finding out about those today. Hey, as far as looking ahead for this season, again, you're 4-2 right now, 6-15 last year, so you're about ready to surpass that win total already. Jerry, do you guys talk in terms of goals? And if so, is it a number? Is it as far as how far you want to get into the postseason, or just getting to the postseason? What does this team talk about when it talks about goals?
I mean, we talk about it all the time before practice, at school, when we're hanging out. We just want to go far, make playoffs and maybe hopefully continue our season. But I think it goes like by game. Every game we have a new goal. Like our next game tomorrow, we want to win, but at the same time we want to control the boards. That's our goal. And I think so far right now, I think we're achieving a lot of our goals. And I think the bar's set high this season because we have so many goals that we're going to turn into reality. And I think the postseason, is where we're headed right now, and that's where we want to go.
Very nice. And did I understand this correctly? Coach Hankamp brought some playoff basketballs to the gym one day to get you guys ready for the playoffs, Alex?
Yeah, I was saying because our ultimate goal before tryouts and when, like after tryouts when we would have our little team meeting, it was like, all right, this year like he said I don't want to put numbers or anything because I feel like when we reach the number we're just gonna like brush it off. So what's a big goal besides numbers that you guys want? And we were all like playoffs. Like playoffs is our biggest goal. And then we got a player named Jordan. He was like Lynnwood State. So like that's a funny thing. Like I feel like this is gonna be a good year. Like we're gonna get to playoffs. And like Coach Bobby, he walked in like 3 days after in practice and he was like, "You guys, I got these new balls. Like they use these in the Tacoma Dome when they play in state. And then like you pick up the ball and it's like a different grip and you dribble it. And it's just weird. It's like a weird feeling of a ball, but I guess we could get used to it."
Using it for motive. I think you'd get used to it pretty quickly if you could get there. It would be nice. So again, a lot of work to be done before then. We should mention too, you're at Mariner Monday night, December 18th. You then make that road trip. Next home game, Tuesday, January 2nd against Marysville-Pilchuck. Undefeated Marysville-Pilchuck, I might add. Guys, congratulations on a nice start to your season. Best of luck, not only against Mariner, but safe travels and have a great time over in Wenatchee too, and all season long.
Yep.
All right.
One last thing we want to do before we let Jerry leave here. Last week, during This Week in High School Sports, we mentioned that he was the boys' Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. He had a couple of double-doubles. So, Jerry, since we weren't able to get you at the time, we wanted to give you this shirt. This is yours.
Okay.
So go ahead and hold it up and wear it proudly. And while we've got Jerry in here, I also want to mention that Jazz Zink, who was also the winner for the girls last week for Mountlake Terrace, we got some pictures of her after one of her games recently, and here she is holding up her Player of the Week. So Jerry and Jazz, both the Players of the Week last week, and thank you to Action Jackson Plumbing for sponsoring them. Jerry, congratulations on that. Best of luck.
Well, congrats to Jerry and Jazz, and I understand we have another athlete to recognize.
We do. We did recognize Reyne earlier during the wrestling segment, so now it's time to give the Girl Athlete of the Week, and I thought we'd go with Ingrid Fosberg this week from Edmonds Woodway, the junior basketball player. A couple of close games for them over the week. They defeated Marysville-Pilchuck 71-28, and then they turned around and defeated Shorewood 57-11. Ingrid, I'm sure you did well in those games, but really, this is more for a couple of the games prior to that. I know you were the leading scorer for a couple of the games last week, games that were a little bit closer. And so for that, we're going to give you the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week this week, and we'll get this shirt on out to you and hopefully have a picture to put up of Ingrid maybe on a future episode.
Okay, very good. Well, we have more wrap-up to talk about in terms of tournaments coming up and other things, right?
Yeah, a lot of basketball going on over the break. Again, this is usually when teams start to play in those holiday tournaments, so not necessarily playing league games, but still getting their games in. And a couple of nice opportunities for folks who like watching Edmonds School District basketball, where you can get more bang for your buck and go to one-stop shopping, so to speak. So a holiday reference there. For the boys, they've got their holiday tournament coming up on the 28th and 29th over at Mountlake Terrace High School. We'll have both the Hawks and the Warriors from Edmonds Woodway over there. I know the boys for the Warriors are going to play at 3 p.m. each of those 2 days against Nathan Hale and Sunnyside. Mountlake Terrace will play the nightcap game each day, 7:30 start time. Auburn Mountain View on the 28th, and then Ferndale on the 29th. And it gets even better for the girls. All 4 of our schools are going to be in the same gym for 2 consecutive days. Starting on December 26th, and we'll give you these times and dates real quick. Mountlake Terrace plays Mariner at 11 a.m. Edmonds Woodway versus Marysville-Getchell at 4:15. Union versus Lynnwood at 6 p.m. Nathan Hale versus Meadowdale at 7:45 p.m. Again, this is the day after Christmas, so if you want to avoid the mall, don't want to go out and do the shopping, come watch basketball over at the Terraceum in Mountlake Terrace. And then the very next day, all 4 teams in action again. Lynnwood playing Shorewood at 11 p.m. Mountlake Terrace playing, or 11 a.m., I'm sorry, in the morning. That would be late. Mountlake Terrace plays Zilla at 2:30. Meadowdale versus Kamiak at 6, and then Union versus Edmonds Woodway at 7:45. So 8 different games featuring Edmonds School District schools over the course of 2 days. So plenty of opportunity, and hey, why not come out and support the basketball players? You've got some time off over the holidays. Come out and enjoy it, and have a good time.
Yeah, and it's a family thing. You can come and bring the kids. There's usually a nice concession stand there. It's just a good time.
And I hear the public address announcer is going to be outstanding too those 2 days.
That wouldn't happen to be you, would it?
That might be me.
All right.
Okay, maybe he's not outstanding, but come say hi anyway.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we hope you, from Steve and I, have a very, very Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. And we are going to be back with you, not on Christmas weekend, but we're going to actually take a weekend off.
We are.
And then we will be back for you on New Year's weekend. So have a great holiday, and we will see you soon.
Happy holidays.